All right, guys, welcome to Wayne's World Garage. We're at Wayne's World Garage today. We're not at the sawmill. We were at the sawmill last week, and I'll try and put out a video of what we were doing. But we ran into a couple problems the last couple weeks, and I was not the sawyer, so Alan was a sawyer and Cody was a sawyer. And Cody was whining like, man, this saw is like wobbling like crazy. And like, yeah, get over it, dude. So I didn't really pay attention to him. And we were cutting some big logs. Alan last week was having some problems too. And I looked at it, and we shut the saw down because the saw blade's going back and forth an inch and a half. It's like, it's insane. What is going on here? So we took a look. The outside of the saw blade, temperature-wise, was not very hot. It was room temperature, which is kind of what it's supposed to be. The inside, close to the mandrel, was hot. It was so hot that it burned wood onto it. Like, what is up with this? Check the bearings. The bearing's not really hot. What's going on? So last week I said, Alan, do me a favor. Let me run the sawmill for a second. I'm taking a look at it. The guides, as it turns out, are way out of adjustment. There's at least an inch and a half gap between the guides. What are the guides on the Frickn sawmill? I assume every circular sawmill has them. So here's a lesson, okay? And I hope you all can see this. This is a guide, okay? There's one on either side of the saw blade. According to this geezer from Mount Airy, John Frick, maybe his name's John Clark, AKA Frickn Jeep, he says you're supposed to have about a business card width between the inside one of these and the outside one of these. And that's it, okay? And these actually help hold the saw and make it go straight. I said, well, that's kind of interesting. What's going on here? Why do we have so much wobble? So much wobble, so the back part of the saw was starting to hit the offload boards. Like, this isn't good. Fortunately, we shut her down, and I'm taking a look at it, so let me just adjust the guides, because this guide was clearly way off. And I can't. Like, what's up with that? And then I discovered something else. Let me show you what we got. So the way this works, it's got a 3/4 inch nut on here, and that adjusts the distance between the guide and the saw, or the blade. Call it the saw. Sounds like a good plan. This guide here is these are made of hard maple. They're cheap. They're a couple bucks each from Payne or this guy in Ohio or something like that. And this here is supposed to adjust it. So this is for one side of the saw blade. And on the other side, because it's got to go around the saw blade, we've got the other one. Like, okay, well, that can't be a big deal. Well, I started looking at it really carefully. And I wonder if you can see that. I'm looking at it and looking at it like, this ain't right. So this has got a handle here. I've already taken it apart. I've taken the liberty of taking it apart. And if you look at this, if you take a look at this, how much threads are on this side? 2 inches. And on this side, I've got 1 5/8 inches or something like that. Looking more carefully at it, the flipping thing broke off. So what's up with that? It broke off. So let me bring it home, take a look at it. So the first exercise is you have to pound out this little pin. They put a little pin in here. Pound out the pin. It's not a big deal. And then take a look at what we got. Instead of like a couple of washers, this is a solid piece of steel, 1-inch steel, which has been machined. And guess what? Wayne's World Garage can make one of these. So why don't I just make one? Okay, so I'm going to cut this down 1/2 inch. I'm going to leave this on here, which is, shocking, 1/4 inch, 1 inch thick, and we'll cut 2 inches of threads. And then we'll be done, and I'll have fun cutting stuff on a lathe. You take a look at this. This big, I'll call it a washer, is 1 inch diameter. So this is 1 inch diameter. This distance here is 1.5 inches long on this round part. This hole is 3/16 diameter. And the threaded part, we're going to make it about 2 inches. Let's see, is the other one 2 inches? 2 1/4. Rough numbers, 2 1/4. So we'll make this 2 1/4. So the total length, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 2 1/2 plus 1 1/2 would be 4 inches. So we'll make this total length 4 inches. And we just happen to have some 1 inch stock lying around. And it turns out to be 6 inches long. 6 inches. So what I'm going to do is let me go on the lathe, and we will turn this down 1.5 inches here. Is that what I said? Turn it down 1.5 inches here. Let me see here. To exactly 1/2 inch, yes. And I'll cut it down 2 inches on the other side in preparation for the threading operation. This is painfully slow in real time, but just to give you an idea how it works on a lathe, it works pretty well. I'm not an expert machinist. This is carbide, and it goes relatively quickly. Kind of fun to do. You really have got to wear your eye protection, and you've got to wear a leather apron. Chips are flying everywhere. It's pretty slick, though. So I'm down to the last cuts, or about 510 thousandths over. So we put this little thing in here, drill a little hole in here. This helps stabilize it, especially as it gets skinnier. And what we'll do now is we're going to measure it and see where we're at. We're close. You need one of these little thingy-digs. And I'm showing this to be, I believe, 0.568. About 0.567. So see if you read that, 0.5. Add the numbers, 568 we're going to call it. And since trust but verify, let's put this on here. This shows 518 or something like that. We're close. Put this in here, snug that guy down, and if you look, we are at 0.50 inches. Where am I? So the way that works is, you can hopefully see 0.50 inches. Within a thousandth of an inch. That's perfect. So now let me do the other side. And remember, I want to leave 1/4 inch here. So we'll leave 1/4 inch on this guy. And let's see how it goes. So let's get cracking. Here's the blank of the new one. Exactly 1 inch diameter up top. Where the little washer is. We're going to cut this part here. That's perfect. Got to drill a hole in here, 3/16. And I'm going to thread this part here. And that's a little bit longer, because I want to leave some room for the threads. Well, it's got to be longer, actually. Huh, don't forget, it's got to be a bunch longer. Better be long enough or I'm going to quit. Yes. So the total threaded length, plus a little blank spot at the end, is like 2¼ inches. So what we got here, I've got 2 3/8, 125 thousandths extra. So that'll be perfect. So I want to kind of taper that a little bit. Now, to save you guys the boredom of watching me do all this stuff, what I did is I cut this off to the right lengths. I put little access holes in here to keep this thing straight in the lathe, because I don't want it bouncing around. And now it's time to cut some threads. All right, guys. All right, we're finally ready to start cutting some threads. We got it all measured. We got these things cut. It turns out these threads need to be 1/2 by 13 turns per inch. And the outer diameter of that rod needs to be maximum, or whatever it is, 1/2 inch, 0.500, which we've done. Now to get started, there's a couple things you might want. This is a thread gauge to make sure your thing's working the way it's supposed to work. South bend lathe, you look down here, it says 13, so you put that to the 13. And over here, A, you put it to the A. You want to slow this thing down so it's not going 84 miles an hour. And what you do is you have to lift this little thing up here, pull that little thing out here, and put it on the back gear, and that cuts it very, very slowly, as you will see. Additionally, you want to make sure that this is perpendicular entirely to the place where you're cutting the threads. The cross slide, cross feed, whatever it's called, has to be at 29 degrees, like say 29 degrees. And what you do is you'll put this forward. This has got to be in neutral position here, so this lock nut is locked in all the time. This doesn't do anything. And you engage this for even number threads when this counter here is on a whole number. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. You pop it up, cut some threads, back it up, do it again. So let's see how that works out, huh? So we're in the thread cutting mode. Let me just see here. Good. That's going there. I want to make sure this is nice and snug. That's snug. I'm going to wait till this gets to a whole number. I'm at 0 here because I have to put that back every time. So let me put that at 0. And I'm going to try this right now. On the number 3, go. we go. And what I'm going to do is when it gets to the end, and hopefully you can see this, we're going to slow it down. I'll move the camera so you can see this a little bit better. When you get to the end of the cut here, you have to take this away. So back it off maybe 100 thousandths. And now I can back it up, get to my starting point, put it in to where it was. That's why you got to remember where it was. I put it 0. Turn this in a couple thousandths. And then when this number here gets to a whole number, you engage it, and you're good to go. Let's see how this works out. Ha. Coming up on 2, 3, 2, 1, go. And you got to be quick with this thing because you don't want to. This thing will jam into the holder here, so you got to be pretty quick at turning this thing off. Perfect. Back it out, 100 thousandths. Take away my extra metal. Back it in 100 thousandths. Go in just a little bit. Now this is kind of a weird number. How much is a little bit? I don't know. And now we're cutting some metal, so I want to put some oil in this. It's going so slow. Wait till it comes 3, Richard. Now. And we're going. And again, get ready to crank this thing off because you don't want it to wreck anything, which it will do. All right, guys, we're finishing up this project. We've got this new part made here. We cut longer threads on it successfully. Had to relearn how to cut threads on a South Bend lathe. And now it's time to drill this hole in here. And this hole, as it turns out, is 3/16 of an inch diameter. That's what the pin is. 0.1875 for you mathematicians, or they probably have some way of doing it with the woodworker guys. It's probably like 3.5 quarter or something like that. I don't know. Regardless, I've got this set up because most of you guys don't care to watch the machine shop videos. If you do, leave me a comment. I'll do more of them. But anyway, we're set up now in a Bridgeport mill. And I'll just save you the boredom of the setup. But you'll have to trust me. This here now is measured out the same distance this one is. And I kind of compare it. It looks the same. Huh. Shocking, 1.875 inches. I also centered it here. I'm not going to tell you how to do that, but there's ways to center it. Machinists know how to do it. I'm not a machinist, so that's the way that goes. We will simply drill this little hole in here, and we're almost going to call this done. Turn on our 3-phase power converter. Thank you, Jeff Bezos. And it looks like we're low speed. I'll crank it up some. And we will put a little bit of lubrication on it. I tightened this down, that's tightened down. Everything's locked in place, we're zeroized. I think we're ready to rock and roll here. How do we know I'm straight? How do I know I went all the way through it? First of all, I have a piece of sacrificial aluminum underneath here because I don't want to drill into my vise. It's not a Kurt vise. I still like the vise. The other thing is, wow, Wayno, your drill bits are sharp. We use lubrication and learn how to sharpen the drill bits. You will be so much happier in life. My grandpa tried to teach me 50 years ago, but I was too dumb to learn, and he was, he smartened up as I get older, but I finally learned how to resharpen drill bits. These are sharp and they cut well. And now we just have to put this thing together. And there you go. Is that sweet or what? So just take a look here. The way this guy works is this threaded rod goes here, this goes on it, this pin goes through here. Hilariously, check this out. It looks like Wayno drilled it. I don't know how it can be off center. And it doesn't wear, it's not a wear item. I have no clue what happened. Do yourself a favor. These things are gonna get peened down so it's not gonna come off. But we also use Loctite number 272. It's permanent Loctite, it works well. So you need heat to get it out of here if you screw it up. So this thing goes on here like that. Let's see how it's gonna work. This is gonna go here. I can get it through here. How nice is that? Hopefully it's not gonna be too long. No, it'll be perfect. Look at that. All right. And what I want to do is line up this. Perfect. What I didn't look at is how's this gonna work here? Swimmingly well. Well, that lines up nicely. This goes in nicely. Now's the big test. What a chance I get this guy in here. Fail, fail. I wonder if I should put a point on this guy. It'd be a mistake not to. Try again. Put a little bit of Rock-Ten on here. Smear it all around. And let's see how she goes in. Oh yeah, she's going in. I hope back to him. Pretty nice, actually. So now, check this out. Kind of works as designed. Oh my God. Somebody does nice work. I'm gonna put some oil on here, and life will be good. We'll be sawing lumber again tomorrow. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. These are the guides. Remember, Frickn Jeep, aka John Clark, from Mount Airy, Maryland. The distance between these guides and the saw, the blade, that goes in circles, one business card on either side of it. Ours were off by way over an inch. No wonder the saw wasn't working right. Take care and thanks so much for watching, guys.